Hi everybody, how are you? My name is Matt Steeg. I just wanted to take a few minutes of your time to review my project, my presentation that focuses on early sports specialization, particularly focusing on high school athletes. My presentation looks at the risks that are associated with early sports specialization as well as the impact that early sports specialization athletes have on cross country and track and field programs. For my organization, I originally started with three different programs. I wanted to narrow it down a little bit just so I can stay on track and not have too much data. So I chose to look at Mount St. Dominic Academy. It's all girls prep school located in Caldwell, New Jersey, with approximately 300 students, specifically looking at both their cross country and track and field team. My problem statement for my study was what risk does early sports specialization actually pose for athletes? And then on top of that, actually, how does early sports specialization impact cross country and track and field programs? I did the research into it and I really just wanted to understand exactly what this was. So sports specialization is defined as high volume intense training for a single sport at the expense of participation in multiple sports. And really, when we talk about early, we talk about high school. There's a current study that shows that the current high school students specialize in sports 2 years earlier than the current college students, with the mean age actually coming right before their freshman year. This is a growing trend and a problem for reasons we'll see as we explore the research a little bit further. So really, what are the risks? The risks associated with early sports specialization are both mental and physical. As you can see, there's an increased risk to damage to the physical health of these athletes, as well as the social and psychological aspects as well. Kids that specialize in a single sport usually put their body through more strenuous, violent motions. They continue these motions and they train pretty much nonstop. And as you can see by that final bullet, we really need to focus on the overuse of muscles, year-long training, and overscheduling. All of these lead to injuries, whether they be mental or physical. So why do athletes choose to do this? And as one of the physicians who is a foremost figure in pediatrics in the States says that there's more and more pressure created by college recruitment. Parents and students feel that they need to specialize in these sports to become a pro or to be the best that they can and need to be when they get into college to achieve that next step. The funny part is when we look at studies that examine professionals, the majority of professionals actually participate in more than one sport in high school. And one study that I looked at in particular surveyed, I believe it's about a little over 100 baseball players, professional baseball players, and the overwhelming majority said that specialization was not required to play professional baseball. So we got the basis and that understand the mental and physical impact to early sports specialization. So I wanted to actually explore the stakeholder for this. So my stakeholder is Rob DiCarlo. He's the head cross country coach and assistant track and field coach at Mount St. Dominic Academy. And as you can see from his resume, he's a very successful and a very well-respected coach within New Jersey. I asked him particularly, how does this early sports specialization phenomena impact your programs? And he immediately opened his eyes and he told me it has 100% an impact regardless of where he's been, whether it be in his previous roles as a head track and field and cross country coach at Don Bosco Prep or his current role at Mount St. Dominic. He's mentioned that he had freshman athletes that came into the programs only to leave at the end of the season to focus on football or baseball. He says now it's even hard to get students at Mount St. Dominic to come out because they're focused so much on volleyball and softball. And he actually says, again, echoing the sentiments from the research, that it's not in the best interest of these young kids, 13, 14, 15 years old, to be specializing in a single thing. He says anecdotally that this specialization has actually taken away some of the success of his programs because he loses and he misses some of his best athletes. So a high-level conclusion, early sports specialization 100% has a negative physical and mental impact on high school athletes, especially if they decide to do this too young. It is recognized that sports specialization can be something useful for those in later adolescent years, but for the younger kids, it's just not the way to go. And early sports specialization has a negative impact on cross-country and track and field programs, as evidenced by Rob DiCarlo's interview with me. So I put together a list of recommendations. The first being really just emphasize the training to cross-country coaches, track and field coaches, actually all coaches and trainers in participating in high school athletics, it's just important that they understand exactly what this can do to their programs. I also thought it'd be interesting to mandate freshman and sophomore athletes to attend workshops at the beginning of the seasons, just so the coaches can have a chance to talk with parents as well as students. They can use this session as, go over the schedule, go over their expectations, but also gives them a chance to speak with parents and students on specialization if it's something that they're thinking of. With that being said, them having the training from that number one point, hopefully will be able to drive these students in a better direction than going through that specialization route. I also thought it would be interesting to see if we can get our high school coaches to partner with local recreation departments to make sure that these programs are available to younger kids even before high school. The more and the earlier that these kids play sports, the more likely they are to continue playing them throughout high school. Number four is a decision that could be made at a local level, but it's also a decision that maybe the NCAA needs to get on board with, and that is to ban college coaches from recruiting athletes prior to their final 2 years of high school. Brennan, who is the pediatrician I was speaking about before, said that the NCAA, as well as the different colleges and conferences, really needs to get on board with the American Association of Pediatric Physicians and show that these coaches putting undue stress on middle school kids, even elementary school kids, and recruiting them to their organization is really setting them up for failure in the long run. And finally, I think it's important to allow professional athletes to continue to use their status and platform to advocate against sports specialization. Even now, we see commercials happening where these professional athletes are doing this. They're telling everybody, don't retire the sport, make sure you stay involved. There's a lot of evidence out there that shows that the majority of professional athletes always participated in more than one sport in high school and in college as well. And, the overwhelming majority of them do believe that you do not need to specialize in athletics to become a successful professional. So I really appreciate your time. I hope I didn't take too much time off your schedule. Early sports specialization is something that, it's not beneficial to the health of high school athletes, and it really does impact programs across the board, not just track and field and cross country. So hopefully with these recommendations and this conclusion, the end goal is for Rob DeCarlo to be able to take this research and present it to his parents who are questioning him. And, hopefully by the end of the day, this becomes something that everybody can eventually get behind, and we can help combat that the problem of early sports specialization. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, and I hope you have a great day.